2 a.m., 4 a.m. Blasting bands on a Bravas cassette. Blasting bands on a Bravas cassette. 2 a.m., 4 a.m. 2 a.m., 4 a.m. Hey everyone, it's Manny, Manny's Mic Locker. I know, what am I doing here at Analogr? Well, to those that know me, this is where I share a studio with Chavez Ravine. In the other side of that building is a all 16-track, 2-inch analog tape machine recording studio, Mara machines, and that's what we kind of do here. But the reason I'm even talking with you is when I come in that front door and I walk through this building, there's so much cool stuff here. And I wanted to share some of the things that I think are cool. Now, if you don't know what Analogr is, it's a company that has a lot of memorabilia. There's, to the right of me, Elvis Presley's motorcycle. To the left of me, Eric Clapton's Blackie guitar, David Gilmour's Echo Rack. That rig right there, Jerry Garcia from the Grateful Dead. So yeah, there's all kinds of cool stuff here. But anyways, I asked Thomas if I could grab a few items that I really love. So I'm basically speaking to some of my producer friends, maybe even someone I don't know. So I'm going to share a few things with you. Actually, one piece in particular is really wicked, and we're going to get to that right now. So now we're in the part of the studio that I use when I'm recording bands. Thomas had put together a wall of sound of things we really love, and a few of these items are for sale. Now there is some stuff scattered in here from Michael Beinhorn, Butch Vig, literally right over there. You can't see it, but maybe I'll show a little picture of it. That's the LA2A that was used with Nirvana. Over here, one of my, just of recent, only because of Butch Vig, I've ran bass guitars into this tube leveler amplifier, the TLA 100A by Summit. That thing is insane. Well, below it is the same unit, but it was owned by Neil Young. Analogr has it. It is for sale. If you go to the website, I will just say it makes the bass guitar sound like it's on fire. If you get a DI, there's something very special it does to it, which is different than an LA2A. It has so much gain and kind of distortion, but it just saves the day. So anyways, I've used the one Butch Vig, and then below it I've used the Neil Young. So all I gotta say is that to me, that's the little sleeper hanging out here. Has pencil marks on it that either Neil Young or the engineer used. It's official, there's documentation for it. I think Neil even has his signature somewhere in the back. So anyways, the Neil Young, it is a tube leveler amplifier, TLA 100 by Summit, right there. All right, back to microphones. You know I'm cuckoo for microphones. So Manny's Mic Locker, I wanted to share these microphones and let you know you should buy these. I know, what do they look like? Well, they look like 57s, but they're not. And all 57s aren't created equal, and some cost a lot. These are Unidyne 57s. These are different sounding than most of the ones that you'll be buying today. He's got two vintage ones here that are really, really great. We've used them on recordings. I've used them on snares, guitars, all the things you'd use a 57. And these are just vintage, but where you would find these would be at some of the classic studios like Sunset Sound, maybe the Village. They have a lot of these older microphones for a reason, is because they sound incredible. So Analogr has two of these 57s I wanted to share. Now we're pulling out the big guns. What do I got here? These are, once again, Unidyne, but these are SM56s. They look like guns. You can't really do anything with them except put them on a cool band. So these are vintage. And to give you a little taste of where these would come from, if, once again, I mentioned Sunset Sound, if you went down there, you would find these. If you even look at the track sheet of like Van Halen 1, shockingly, you will see a 56 probably on the kick drum, even on the Ampeg bass rig, Michael Anthony, and definitely on Eddie Van Halen's guitar. So we're talking like from Zepp, you know, whatever the era of these mics were made, probably 60s and 70s. If you want to check out the Analogr website, you will find these and write Thomas and say, hey, Manny showed me some 56s. I'd really dig them. I like these. We have a few of these on my own sessions. I use this on the snare and this on the guitar. SM56s rock. And like I said, it's the Unidyne family. These do sound different. And I can only describe it as maybe what 57s have that fuzzy sound. This is kind of cleared away. It just gives you that good mid-range, but definitely gives you something special. Listen to Van Halen 1. Speaking of microphones, this super heavy block of magnets and steel from probably the 1930s or 40s, I'm assuming. This is a Telefunken ribbon mic, an Elam 201/1. I actually had the honor and the privilege of, I thought I was going to have to change the ribbon in this microphone because it sounded really dark and I wasn't sure how it was. So I actually opened this up, and because I have my own company, Original GravityWave Microphone Company, and for the last 3 or 4 years I've just been repairing a lot of old mics, I decided to take a crack at this one and figure out if we can make it sound better. When I open it up, and if you want to, I'll share a link on my own videos. You can look up the YouTube of me taking this apart under Manny's Mic Locker. I removed the ribbon, which was insane the way they had loaded it in this, and I found out that the tension was just slightly off. It was sagging. So I retensioned the ribbon, retuned it where it looked great, inserted it back in the mic, and then when I tested it, it sounded incredible. So if you were to buy one of these microphones, I don't know what you would be listening to, but when I first checked this mic, it was really dark and it just didn't sound that great because I don't think the ribbon was sitting between the magnets. So once I tuned it, this is an outstanding mic. So not only is it vintage, not only is it collectible because it's probably one of the earliest Telefunken microphones, it sounds actually pretty darn good now. Telefunken ribbon, it's right there. You'd be singing in that. I dig this mic. Go to the Analogr website, check it out, put in a bid on it, or write Thomas directly and say, I want to get this. Same with the Unidynes, just write them and say, hey, I saw it on the Manny video. I'm inquiring about the 56s or the Unidyne 57s, and they will hook you up. All right, next up we have MA5s, which are probably one of the greatest preamps you can buy. When I walk through Analogr, he's got 4 of them here. I love Avitas. He's a great dude. He has a great company. Everything Avitas makes is insane. These have been around for a long time. What makes these special, even though you could say these are kind of like Neves, they look a little bit like Neves, I think they sound a little bit softer. They have a little bit more low end, and they have a brick wall of sound. So for instance, you can never overload these also. If you had a drummer and he was 7 foot tall playing a 26 kick and you put a mic right on the inside of the drum and he was hitting it as hard as he can, nothing would happen to this until you turn up the volume. That is a unique design for Avitas, is that you can never overload these preamps. We've all had APIs, we've all had other preamps that we load up. As soon as the drummer hits his drum, it goes in the red. You got to put a pad on it. You don't have to pad these. These are insane. MA5s, he has 4 of them. Someone please get these because these are insane. In my rack in the back, I have 4 as well. So do yourself a favor. I know there's a lot of preamps on the market. Research it, look into it with Avitas, and you will know that it's not only legit, but people that are making records, serious records, use these, and I'm a serious guy. Here you go. All right, what is this? This is another preamp. This is out of an old tape machine, but the guy that had this one has already modified it to be basically turnkey for using it on guitars. I was first turned on to these in the late 90s when I went to Steve Albini's studio and I recorded my first record. And then about a year later, I went back there and he showed me how to record. But these were always in his racks. And he had maybe 2 upstairs, 2 downstairs. And what makes these so special is they're just massive sounding preamps. And there's so much gain to these. One thing I will say, using ribbon mics, incredible. When I would ask Steve what he used these for, he always said guitars. I mean, I think you can use these for anything, but this one is here at Analogr. Definitely hit Thomas up about this. And if you get this, you're not going to forget Steve, because I will say that all the shellac records, anything that he did that was done at Electrico, I guarantee you one of these was used on the record. Well, that's it for the Manny tour. I will say probably my favorite thing is the Albini preamp, and I definitely say I'm a fan of not only Neil Young, but that Summit leveler. It's the same one that Butch Vig uses. It's incredible. When I grew up and I was learning about recording, I would hear about Summit, and I remember years ago that at Smart Studios they had a lot of it, but I never knew, I've never used it. So I just cut a record with Michael Lemo, and we had used the leveler on the bass, and it was insane. It's not an LA2A, it's something really different. So go to the Analogr website, check out the Neil Young leveler, put a bid on it, or just call Thomas and say you want it. He'll figure out a price for you. But like I said, all these things that we have are, even though you could say this is kind of a vintage dealer, Analogr is a memorabilia company, and kind of you can almost say like a vault of some of the most valuable items that were used by famous people and stars. We have microphones from Pink Floyd, Nirvana, Stevie Wonder, Aretha Franklin. It goes down the road of these great mics. But anyways, if you see something on the site and you like it, I would grab it. That stuff doesn't come back again. So anyways, good luck. Good shopping. Manny's Mic Locker. I'm Manny. Enjoy.